Hello, you beautiful legends, and welcome to Blunt Force Healing Podcast, episode number 538. Today was a very intense day. From the very morning, we departed onto a trip to the center of Gran Canaria, which means basically the highest areas of the island. So there was a lot of mountain drive, and that will be a separate episode of the podcast and also a blog post that I will write about and share the pictures. But since arrival at Gran Canaria, I do have some backlog. I'm very much behind in terms of writing and blogging, and not behind that I do not post every single day, but I had to break down certain highlights of our trip and turn them into topics, so there is actually more to write about than there is actual days of the trip. And you can see it because today is probably day 5 of our stay at Gran Canaria, and today's episode is an update about one of the highlights of day 3. So we are at least 2 days behind our actual experience that is happening at the moment. Today's episode and the blog post is titled, I don't want to butcher it because I don't remember the exact wording, but it's something about the lovers and a vest. And that's just a, cringe and funny twist on the lovers, which is amadores in Spanish or something very similar. So it's a reference to Playa de Amadores, which is between Puerto Rico in Mogan and I don't remember the other name, but basically between Puerto Rico and Mas Palomas, there's an actual beach that is quite a nice artificial beach because it's still one of those golden sand beaches that were created typically for tourists. And because it's still high season on Gran Canaria, it was packed as we visited it, but it is quite nice regardless. And despite the amount of people that were packed on the beach, we enjoyed it because we used a more contrarian space for our stay at the beach, and we used the pier, or the kind of concrete, piece of construction that protects the beach from being eroded. So nobody was really using that pier except for walking. And once we took place there and separated ourselves from the rest of the crowds, it seems like we initiated a little bit of an influence on some single couples or people, and there was actually 2 or 3 more groups of people that scattered around that pier alongside with us, but in a safe space, or I would say safe distance, to not intrude on each other's space and allow each one to enjoy the sun at Playa de Amadores. And the vest, the second element of today's title, is related to the safety vest or a floating vest that we used because while Julian can swim a little, he's not a confident swimmer yet, and at Playa de Amadores, at the end of the pier, there was some form of water park, or that was more like, floating, bouncy water park on the water. And it was quite a distance from the beach, so anyone that wanted to go there, they needed to go through the booth and pay the ticket, and then they could go either for 45 minutes, which was about €10 per person, or you could pay, I think, 25 or something, and that was for the whole day. So if you arrived in the morning, you could pay, I think it was opening around 10 o'clock, you could pay €25, and for the whole day you could go in and out until 6 or 7 p.m. and enjoy the water there, jumping on the bouncy, inflated or inflatables, trying to go across different obstacles and stuff like that, which was pretty entertaining. We went there with Julian. Elizabeth was enjoying sun on the pier, and we went to the water park, or I would say floating inflatable park, with Julian. And initially he has put a vest that was small and quite tight, and we replaced it with the big one, kind of bigger one, as it was slightly, more comfortable. But it turned out that probably the former one, the smaller one, was the better idea, because at some stage Julian jumped to the water, and because it was slightly loose, it hit his armpits and he has a slight bruise in there. He was feeling that pretty hard. So maybe if we ever visit that again, or any other water park like that, we'll definitely aim for a tighter floating vest to make sure that it keeps him on the water, but also doesn't move too much on the body. And that beach is really nice, probably much nicer when there's no people and there's still sunny weather, but when we were there, it was quite busy. So we enjoyed the time there, and afterwards we basically returned to Mogan. I believe we went through Mogan Mall, but I don't remember exactly. I would need to go through the pictures or the photos and see what we were exactly doing afterwards, but this is main highlight of today's episode: the lovers, which is basically Playa de Amadores, and then the vest, which is Julian's vest, as we enjoyed the water park. And speaking of the devil himself, here is Julian. I just recorded today's update, but not exactly today's update because I'm slightly behind. So I was talking about our day 3 in Mogan and our visit at Playa de Amadores, and also the vest that slightly bruised your armpits.
Geez, that's a while back now.
Yeah, I'm still catching up. So yeah, we are quite tired today, so I'll just wrap up. Thank you very much for being here. We always appreciate you here. Hope you have a great rest of the day, evening, afternoon, wherever you are. Stay tuned and see you tomorrow.